I hope you would join me in welcoming on stage Pierre Robinet. Now, Pierre is a senior consultant. He has a long history, 15 years history doing business transformation at a global level. He's currently a senior partner at Ogilvy Consulting. But beyond the consulting business, Pierre has been doing many interesting things that are giving back to our community. So probably the one that I think you're become most famous for, at least in our small community here, is the Viva Tech conference. I mean, this so quickly has become, I think, the preeminent conference in France for startup entrepreneurs. Really a great event. Also FinTech Singapore, and another great one, and of course LiveWithAI that I think you might share some thoughts with. So LiveWithAI, just for those of you here in Singapore, so you can know, it's a Singapore-based gathering of about 100 thought leaders, startup owners, academics, both French, Singaporean, kind of trying to span the globe here, focused on issues of AI and how we actually live with and deal with AI. So here we go, Pierre, handing it over to you. Take over. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if I have the easiest slot because everyone is going to sleep during the next 30 minutes, or if I have the toughest one because finally all already drank a coffee. And so I would try to make it short. I'm not a data expert. I'm not an AI scientist, which is a bit strange, but I'm daily walking with a lot of these experts. I've been passionate with the impact AI has on business and society, which is at the core value of the INSEAD school, and the reason why we are discussing a lot with the INSEAD people and some of the professors. So I'm not going to tell you about AI from a technology standpoint. I'm just going to try to tell you the story of this initiative because it was a great. I think it's a great story, and we can see that now a lot of people want to join, want to just bring their thoughts. Just to kickstart, this is such an interesting fact is that we can see how many people are in the room today. This is the number of Twitter words in just 1 hour. When you looked at how many people are, putting the hashtag artificial intelligence, and it continued to grow, of course. So it's a bit the buzzword, the bingo world, like blockchain or all these other technology that everyone is excited about. And surprisingly, when I started to do some research 4 years ago on artificial intelligence, I was very, very scared because I was thinking, why do people only speak about bad stuff? Why do we only see online on social media like stories about robots who are going to kill and just drive our life? So it's, at the time, the more I was reading, the more I was just believing that was an amazing technology that we should consider more and more. And I attended a conference in Viva Tech in Paris. I attended the Eric Schmidt conference. His keynote was the case of optimism. It was the time Eric Schmidt from Google introduced TensorFlow and was talking about how machine will learn how to learn. And I was listening to this guy who was like the chairman, the Google chairman, and I was thinking, so he's right. We need to be very optimistic. But I was thinking as well, it's quite easy to be optimistic when you are the chairman of Google. So I said, okay, so there is a buzz. That's the reality. Finally, all the people who were in this AI space were fantastic experts, fantastic professors from the MIT, from Boston, from all those nice universities. But finally, I've realized that the corporate world were not represented, the startup world were not represented in the debate, and that we that was urgent to finally onboard very different skills and people to debate and to put this into a context, and especially a business and a society context. So we decided to create this initiative in Singapore in 2017, LiveWithAI, just started like a startup with a few French buddies who were interested in connecting more with Singaporean smart people. And it started, in end of 2017. And in just a couple of months, we just gathered about like 100 thought leaders from Europe and Asia. We had the support from many different people, from all the different academic people, professors, corporate people, startup owners. And I think we gathered very different experts from all those universe. And I think the reason people came to us is because we were not just focused on the technology, but we were interested in the human centricity that is so important to consider at the time this technology enters in our life and in our business. So business and society. Business and society is important because finally, I always believe that any executive, any CEO of a company, and the decision those people need to take could have a very huge, impact on the society. And I was thinking, how can we just bring some recommendation to those people so that finally, when they take some good, some decision towards their business, they finally contribute to the society evolution. If you take if you consider like a chairman of a 70,000 employee company, if this guy is looking to potentially automate part of the job of the 70,000 employees, the decision these guys will take definitely will have an impact on the job description and, by the way, on the ways the society evolves. And I think the reason really people were interested in the think tank is because we were focused on this human centricity. And it's not only about AI, it's about how we need to live with AI, be very positive, and see finally what we need as humans to do to better benefit and leverage this technology. All right? Especially also because it's everyone's concern. I believe that all of you, or maybe some of you, have already children. I believe that you have realized how they are interacting now with their phone, with the Google Home, which is in your living room. And you can realize that finally, because we have AI in our pockets, all of us, you can realize that finally all of us needs to have a bit of understanding and potentially a voice in this debate. So we came to, in only 6 months, we wrote a first report, and we all together produced about 15 recommendations. Not recommendation about, how, the ethical guidelines or recommendation about like how to build an ethical AI and this type of things. We came with recommendations which were more human-centric, and we discussed about the things that we should consider at the time AI is entering in our life. So a first one, which was a very good one that we have worked on in partnership with the Lee Kuan Yew Center of Innovative Cities in SUTD here. Here's this smart GPS, which is a very good example of how we could, bring nice services to people. All of us, because we have access to smart GPS, finally follow, in a stupid way what the machine tells us, and believe that it already happened to you, waiting for your Grab in Singapore and just looking at the guy who's turning around your place, and finally, just because the guy has not, considered your address, is just, following the GPS in a stupid way. The problem is that the more we follow the machine, the more we are losing some of our cognitive capacities. It has been demonstrated. So we are losing part of the, we are not leveraging some part of the brain that we used to leverage before. So how could we eventually create a smart GPS that eventually could tell us, okay, turn right at the blue building, instead of just telling you turn right here at in the next street? Because making you think about turning right to the next blue building will finally help you to leverage part of the brain that is actually a bit, forgotten. So that's just a smart way to adapt, the technology and ask to the technology to protect our brain. We came with other recommendation on how to leverage, the power of the people in order to better anticipate the fake news and control the fake news, which is definitely the topic of today. Everyone is completely obsessed by the fake news. I was amazed by a professor I met from a university in France who said, by the way, it's good that we are speaking so much about fake news, because the more people we speak about fake news, the more they will realize there are fake news, and maybe the more they will realize they need to be careful. So I think it's good to continue to speak about fake news, but how can we also use and leverage artificial intelligence to control this fake news spread? And we were very interested, and we continue to be very interested in some startup, for instance, who are actually looking at how fake news is spread online and leverage, machine learning to finally understand that this content is spread online in a very, very strange way, which potentially could tell us that this is a fake news. Another recommendation, of course, we brought in the first report is how we should reinvent civics education and what might be the things that we should consider at a time we will have to live more and more with machine. We had a few discussion and debate with people from different universe and came with this framework where we thought it's now very important to emphasize more, explain more to the new generation what is the privacy, how to control your data and manage your data, manage your health data, how they would have to respect the machine, live with the machine, and make them enter in their life in an ethical way, by and considering as well that the machine should not give them too many addiction, which is really one of the big issue we also have, and that I think you have also realized. Just walk down the road in Jakarta or in Indonesia, and you will see all these people recording themselves when they are just with their mobile, because their life now is broadcasted on social media, which is a sort of addiction. So these are the first type of recommendation we came with, like these are the type of things we should consider. The more we could consider this type of nice, smart service, the more we should we will educate people, the more finally we will benefit from the technology, and we will leverage that technology, and we will finally also protect our mankind and our society. So we continue to do some research with a focus on 3 pillars. The first one, of course, is AI in work. A lot of people are very afraid with the number of potential work which will be disrupted or replaced. We do also a lot of research in the space of health and in the space of the way AI is actually entering in the society. So let me just bring you a few thoughts we have and just give you a heads up on the research we are actually conducting, so that you could understand the point of view, the purpose of that research. So the first thing we believe, and I strongly believe in this, is that AI is not killing job. My purpose is here is that AI kills business model. And AI is going to kill more and more business model. If you look at what happened in Amazon, tried to be as accurate as possible. And what is the product you want? What is the product you really would like to get? Today, Amazon has already demonstrated that they may reach about a 5% of accuracy in their model, which means that if, on 20 products, they are able to tell you about like one product, the one that finally you should really buy, and this is the one you are going to buy. But the more the machine will be accurate, the more it's a bit like a node, like the radio node. The more finally you turn this accuracy level, the more finally the machine would be able to say, we could recommend you the half of the product you would buy. We know that you're going to buy this type of product. Then the business model is going to dramatically change, because potentially Amazon would at that stage, and this is what they are actually piloting in the US, being able to say, why not trying to ship you first a product and deliver this product at your door? Because they would know that you would buy half of them, or potentially 17 on the 20 product that they have delivered. And you can realize at that moment that finally the cost structure and revenue structure of the company could dramatically change, because they will move from a buying to delivery plus delivery model to a model where they will deliver first before make you shop. So more cost, in the delivery, more cost potentially to ensure that the model is hyper accurate, and the revenue structure is going to change on the other way. So that is, I think, a very good example illustrating that AI is not only killing jobs, but first of all, yes, of course it has an impact on the workforce, but first of all is disrupting and killing business model. And that is what I explain to my client in my consulting job every day. But when you look at this workforce description, and it's not new, it's something that everyone is very excited about. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows how many people will be displaced. And for the last, I would say 10 years, there were so many surveys and research papers, telling you, oh, there might be like 3 million jobs created, 5 million will be displaced. And it's all about who is going to get the right numbers. And if you look at the World Economic Forum last reports and the one which have been published in 2016, 17, and 2018, you could see there is one word which appears more and more. That's not jobs only, this is the task. And what we really need to focus on is the task, how the task will be disrupted, not only the jobs. So I don't care, but it's good to know that potentially we will get like 7 million drivers less in the US, or potentially we will get like 1 million more data scientists in 5 years in Europe, or I don't know. What really matters is understanding in each job, how each of the tasks of a job description would be finally impacted by artificial intelligence. So we've discussed this with a lot of people from the Lee Kuan Yew Center of Innovative Cities, and realized that we would really need to understand the impact AI has not only on the job workforce, but on the task. And we are actually trying to do this research, trying to map finally how a task, which actually is something where people engage like a percentage of time on a task, how a task might be impacted by artificial intelligence, how is it going to decrease potentially the percentage of this task. If maybe a person is actually doing like 50% of his work on this task, and maybe in 10 years ahead, it will be like only 10% of his job. But if you want to take the right decision, what is important is not only to consider, from a theory standpoint, how the task will be disrupted. What is important is to know finally if those tasks have a value. And what is important is to understand if the tasks have a value to the business, but also to the employees. And if you understand that this task in the job of this person has a huge value to him, because this is the reason why this guy wakes up on the Monday morning, potentially you would protect his job, and you would need to potentially protect this task, because this task has some value to the employees and some value to the business, to your business. And I strongly believe that any transformation, on the workforce strategy needs to start there. So meaning like how each of the tasks of my employees will be disrupted. Do they have enough value? Are the tasks valuable to my business? Are the tasks valuable finally also to my employees? And this is the way, finally, this is what you need to understand if you want to take the right decision. I know the time is running. I would love to tell you more about the AI and health pillar, the AI and society pillar. Basically, we do a lot of research in the space of the impact the blockchain marketplace would have on fostering artificial intelligence in healthcare, how we need to protect more the patient data, how we need to empower people so that they can better manage their data at a citizen level. And we try to understand as well, at the time AI is entering in our society, at the time it needs to enter in our society in an ethical way. We are actually very interested in the cultural differences when we are debating about these ethical guidelines. And we do a lot of research trying to understand the cultural differences between all those ethics guidelines provided by the European Parliament, the Canada, the Monetary Authority of Singapore. The Chinese people also have started their ethics guidelines, but ethics, is universal. What is important is to understand the translation of ethics culturally at the local level. We'd love to speak more about this, and please follow the think tank, follow the research to learn more about the thought, and please come to us if you want to participate and bring your brain. Thank you.
Can we have a few questions? Questions or comments for Pierre? Questions or comments?
You are catching everyone post-lunch.
Right, it's,
Yeah.
it's the coffee time.
Yeah, exactly.
I told you, this is either the easiest or the toughest moment to speak.
Yeah.
Well, finally, some of them have smiled and nobody sleeps here.
But fascinating organization. Okay. Well, then we'll let you off the hook then, Pierre. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank
Yeah,
you for
yeah.
having me.
Yeah.